Welcome to Clarity Reads. If you started this video right now, there's probably a very quiet question spinning around in your mind. Why am I even alive? Why every morning does an unfamiliar heaviness settle in my chest? Why does it feel like something is missing, even when everything seems fine? We all hide these questions deep inside ourselves. We don't say them out loud. Behind smiles, work pressure, and endless responsibilities, we slowly lose touch with our real feelings. Today's video isn't advice. It's not a lecture. It's a story of a life. Your story, my story, all of our stories. Today, we're going to talk about Ikigai. It's a Japanese word, but the feeling belongs to people all over the world. Ikigai means waking up in the morning and wanting to live, finding joy in small things, not feeling like life is a burden. This book doesn't tell you what you should become. Instead, very gently, very quietly, it asks, who are you really? This is for those who work every day but still don't feel peace. For those who have everything yet feel empty inside. For those who lie awake alone at night wondering, what is the meaning of my life? This story is for them. I only ask one thing of you. Listen to this video till the end. Because by the time you reach the end, you might start recognizing yourself again. That quiet voice sleeping inside you might begin to speak once more. So let's begin this story slowly. No rush, no pressure, just you and your Ikigai. Morning light slips through the window into the room. You wake up, but your mind still feels asleep. You stare at the ceiling. After a while, your phone screen lights up. Notifications appear. But somewhere deep inside your chest, there's still a kind of emptiness. This feeling is very familiar, isn't it? Many of us start our days like this. The body leaves the bed, but the soul seems to stay behind. Why am I getting up? Where am I going? Without knowing the answers, we keep running day after day. This is exactly where Ikigai begins. If you go to Okinawa, Japan, you'll see that people there don't fight with time. They're not slaves to the clock. Their lives flow like a slow river, moving but never breaking. An old man from Okinawa once said, "We find our reason to live in small things." Every morning, he wakes up and goes for a walk. Same routine, same road, same trees, same sky. Yet there's not a trace of boredom in his eyes, because that walk is part of his life. That is his Ikigai. Ikigai isn't a big goal that fixes everything once you achieve it. It's not a promise about the future. Ikigai is a peaceful agreement with the present. We often think, one day when I do something big, I'll be happy. One day when I'm successful, my life will finally begin. But Ikigai says, life begins today, right now. In Okinawa, an elderly woman wakes up every morning before sunrise. No one calls her, no one forces her, still she gets up, because a few plants in her garden are waiting for her. She knows that if she doesn't go today, the plants will survive just fine, but her own heart would start to dry up. This is the depth of Ikigai. Ikigai means being needed. Ikigai means staying connected to life, to work, to yourself. And so often we ask ourselves, what am I actually good at? We usually ask ourselves, what should I do to make money? What will people recognize me as? But Ikigai asks a much gentler question. What kind of work brings peace into my heart? When do I lose myself completely? When you're listening to someone with full attention and you forget about time. When you're working and instead of feeling tired, you feel fulfilled. That's where Ikigai sits quietly. The problem is, we were never taught how to listen to this inner voice. From childhood, we're taught, get good grades, get a good job, build a good life, but no one teaches us how to live well. In Okinawa, people don't really have a concept of retirement. They don't stop working, they only change the meaning of work, because work itself is their way of staying alive. This chapter doesn't point things out by force. It teaches us how to walk slowly. It teaches us how to look inward. It asks us to carry one simple question in our hearts. What kind of work makes me feel like today wasn't wasted? If you don't find the answer today, that's okay. Ikigai doesn't give answers. It doesn't create pressure. It simply waits. This chapter ends here, but your inner journey begins right now. Because once a person starts searching for their reason to live, they can never live unconsciously again. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper. We'll learn how to listen to that quiet voice inside. That story will slowly unfold. This chapter grows quieter, because here we're not looking outside life anymore. We're gently walking inward. Ikigai reveals itself most clearly in places where there's less noise, but deeper feelings. We're all alive, but not all of us are truly feeling life. Days come and go, work gets done, night falls. But at the end of the day, we can't say, "Today I truly lived." That question is frightening because searching for its answer means being honest with your own life. If you look at how people in Okinawa live, one thing becomes very clear. They don't chase time. They sit with time. Even sitting quietly is a form of work for them, a responsibility, a kind of care. An old man in Okinawa sits on his porch every afternoon, a cup of hot tea in his hand, eyes closed, breathing slowly. To some, it looks like laziness. To him, it's time to meet himself. This is the time we've lost, time to meet ourselves. We're always there for someone else, family, work, society, but we don't keep even a few moments for ourselves. Ikigai gently says in this chapter, no one can live long while constantly ignoring themselves. A deep truth emerges here. If what you're doing doesn't match your inner rhythm, no matter how successful you become, there will always be an empty space inside. We often think, if I try harder, if I endure more, one day everything will be fine. But Ikigai says, strength isn't about enduring everything. Sometimes strength is knowing what you can let go of. People in Okinawa are very conscious about protecting their energy. They know which activities drain them and which ones give their energy back. This awareness is the deep balance of their lives. Think about it. Which parts of your day leave you exhausted and which ones make you feel lighter even after all the tiredness? This question is the heart of this chapter, because this is where Ikigai slowly begins to become clear. And finally, this chapter tells us one more thing. Learn to trust your feelings, because feelings never lie. When the heart feels heavy, it's a signal. When the mind feels calm, that's a signal too. But we ignore those signals. We tell ourselves, I'll deal with it later, and later never comes. Because once dissatisfaction becomes a habit, it starts to feel normal. An elderly woman in Okinawa once said, "What I do is my work, but it is not my identity. My presence is my identity." This chapter teaches us how to be present, to be fully inside whatever we're doing. That presence itself is the deep practice of Ikigai. If at the end of the day you can look at yourself and say, "Today I was with myself," then this chapter has done its job. No solutions are given here, no checklists, just a quiet request. Start feeling your own life in your own way. Because a person who finds their inner rhythm no longer goes searching for happiness outside. After this chapter, we move one step further, where feelings slowly turn into habits, and that's where Ikigai stops being just an idea and becomes part of daily life. Here, the Ikigai story grows deeper. We're no longer just trying to feel or understand. We're beginning to see how everyday life is slowly built and how the meaning of life is hidden inside that building process. Many of us look at life like a big picture. We think, One day, everything will be fine. One big decision, one big success, one big change, and then life will be beautiful. But Ikigai gently says, life isn't built in big moments. Life is built through small habits. In Okinawa, an elderly man wakes up at the same time every day. No alarm, no rush. He knows what he's going to do, and that knowing keeps him steady. In the morning, he sweeps his yard. To him, this isn't just cleaning, it's a time to clean his mind. With every movement of the broom, he sweeps his restlessness out of himself. We do the opposite. We work with a restless mind and then wonder why peace never comes. This chapter teaches us not work first, rhythm first. When your life finds a rhythm, the mind naturally learns to walk in that rhythm. Another deep side of Ikigai appears here, motivation. We think, I'll work when I feel motivated, but the mind doesn't always want to. People in Okinawa don't wait for motivation. They rely on habits, because habits stay even when motivation doesn't. This chapter says, doing a little every day eventually creates something meaningful. A little walking, a little effort, a little reflection, a little care. These small stories are life's strongest tools. Another important idea appears here, imperfection. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be real. A craftsman makes a wooden object. There's a small scratch left on it. He doesn't hide it, because that scratch proves it was touched by human hands. But we're busy hiding our scratches. We hide our mistakes, we hide our fears, we hide our weaknesses, and in doing so, we lose our real selves. This chapter doesn't teach us how to fix ourselves. It teaches us how to accept ourselves. A person who learns to accept their own limits doesn't fight with other people's limits. From this acceptance, a deep peace is born. There's one more quiet lesson in this chapter. Rush creates disconnection. When you live too fast, you lose your connection with life. That's why people who truly take risks walk slowly, because they know when you walk slowly, you can see everything. If by the end of this chapter you understand that today's small task is actually the most important task of your life, then this chapter has succeeded. Because Ikigai is not a goal you reach. Ikigai is a path, one you have to walk every single day. In the next chapter, we'll see how as you keep walking this path, life doesn't just move forward, it slowly begins to bloom. In this chapter, Ikigai is no longer a beautiful idea. This is where the car stops, at the hardest place in life, where people break down, where nothing seems to work anymore. And only one question remains alive. Why am I still trying? Life is never just a story of happiness. It's a mix of failure, loss, illness, loneliness, everything together. There are days when you wake up in the morning and feel, I don't want to get up today. I don't have the strength to fight anymore. Ikigai doesn't offer false comfort here. It doesn't say, everything will be okay. It says only this: find one small reason to live in this moment. People in Okinawa understand this deeply. They know sadness can't be removed from life, but the way you stand beside sadness can change. An elderly man there once said, "After my wife passed away, for a long time I didn't want to do anything, but every morning my birds waited for their food." That small responsibility kept him from completely falling apart. Here, Ikigai teaches an important truth. A reason to live doesn't always have to be big. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a task, sometimes it's just a habit. We often think, if I can't find the meaning of life, then life is pointless. But Ikigai says meaning isn't always standing in front of you. Sometimes it's sitting right beside you, very small, very quiet. Another deep idea appears in this chapter, not endurance, but connection. We're taught to endure all pain alone, but people in Okinawa know enduring alone doesn't make a person strong, it slowly makes them hollow. They stay connected to each other's lives. If someone is sick, food comes from the neighbor's house. If someone is sad, someone comes and sits quietly beside them. Talking isn't necessary, presence is enough. Ikigai reminds us humans are not built to survive alone. Without connection, no reason to live lasts very long. This chapter also talks about the body, because Ikigai isn't only about the mind. If you don't take care of the body that carries you, the mind slowly gives up too. People in Okinawa eat little, eat slowly, and stop before they're full. They say stopping before fullness is a way of respecting the body. But we use our bodies, we don't respect them. When we're tired, instead of resting, we push harder, and one day the body says, "I can't do this anymore." This chapter teaches us keeping yourself alive is not a luxury, it's a responsibility. And here, very quietly but very powerfully, Ikigai changes again. The reason that keeps you alive today might not exist tomorrow. Jobs change, relationships change, bodies change. And this change is not wrong. What's wrong is clinging desperately to the old reason. People in Okinawa know that as life changes, the reason to live changes too. Toward the end of this chapter, a deep realization is born. Finding the meaning of life does not mean a life without pain. Finding meaning means that even when pain comes, you don't completely abandon yourself. On the day you can still do one small task in the middle of suffering, still look at another person, still feel the morning light, that is the day Ikigai quietly holds your hand. This chapter ends here, because now you're beginning to understand Ikigai is not a promise of happiness, it's the courage to live in agreement with life. Now comes the final part. No new ideas will be introduced. Only one quiet question will be left with you. Tomorrow morning, why will you get up?
There's nothing new left to say now, because at the end of this entire journey, the question becomes very simple. Why do you choose to live? Ikigai doesn't give you a final answer. It doesn't hand you a checklist. It simply and very quietly brings you face to face with yourself. Maybe your Ikigai isn't a big dream. Maybe it's something very ordinary. Your morning cup of tea, the smile of someone you love, an unfinished task you still want to complete. And that is enough. Because the meaning of life doesn't always arrive in big words. Sometimes it comes silently. The day you can still do one small thing even when you're tired, that's the day you haven't lost. This book teaches us that life doesn't need to be forced into beauty. Life needs to be lived with attention. Your Ikigai may not be clear today, but if you start respecting your feelings, if you learn to walk in your own rhythm, then one day, sooner or later, the answer to this question will come and stand right in front of you. And remember, Ikigai has no ending. It's a beginning every single day. If you found yourself in any part of this story, if this video stirred something inside you, then this is where our connection begins. We tell stories like this, fewer words, deeper feelings. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel so these stories can reach many more hearts. And for today, just one last thing. May your night be peaceful. And tomorrow morning, wake up with one small reason, because that is your Ikigai.